Into this live chat. Hi guys. Shit. So nerve-wracking. So I'm just waiting on Jeff. I wonder if I can add him myself. No, I cannot. Hi guys. Well, we're just gonna wait a minute. Starma show's running a little late, I see. How's everyone doing? Can you guys hear me? Hi, how are ya? This is so weird being live. Oh, Jeff, is that you? Alright. Thanks, girl. Just did it. Jeff, I'm waiting on you. Where are you? All right, we're good to go, people. Hi.
Hi.
How you doing?
I was in the wrong account.
Okay.
I was in the gym account. I was like, why isn't this working? I don't think you can do that with a business. Am I okay here? It looks all right. Howdy cop. Hello.
Jeff, I have so many questions for you.
What's up?
Well, first of all, will you introduce yourself officially?
My name is Jeffrey Harrison, Crew Jeff. I am the Muay Thai Canada head coach. I've been doing Muay Thai for a long time, and I own New Era Combat Sports.
So, Jeff, since COVID-19, you've had to close the doors to 3 of your gyms.
Yeah, that's true. Everyone, it was we made the decision a couple of days prior to it having to have been done. So, I felt good about that. We were kind of ahead of the curve. But I think we've been ahead of the curve in a lot of things in Ottawa, and that was one of them that I was kind of proud about. It's a socially responsible thing to do, and we just had to do it. So there you go.
Did you displaced quite a few people who were attending the gyms? I mean, they were still kind of coming right up until you closed your doors. Were people angered by your decision?
No one. There hasn't been a single negative reaction. Obviously, some people have had to, freeze their account or whatever. But for the most part, most people have been very, very supportive.
And now you're considered high risk. Do you care to elaborate on why you're high risk? It's a
well, yeah, I guess I think that kind of shocked a couple people because I'm not old, I don't smoke, I'm definitely not obese and stuff. I just have a couple heart conditions that came to light. I had shoulder surgery this year, and then after that kind of came I had obviously some heart tests done before meeting with the anesthesiologist, and then we just discovered that I had a couple issues. So, I'd rather not go deeply into that, but yeah, I am an at-risk person for sure, which is kind of crazy.
But being high risk, and obviously you're isolating now, what does that do for you as a coach? How are you able to connect with your students in isolation?
Well, it's kind of cool because, if this had happened even 5 years ago, it would have been a very different story. But right now, it's the online era, and a lot of coaches and personal trainers and this and that are actually shifting to online anyway because it's just such a small world now. It used to be 6 degrees of separation. I don't think that's the case anymore with the Facebook phenomenon and the social media. I believe it's a very, very small world, and social media has kind of binded the ability or binded us together a little bit more, and the ability to reach people is much easier. So in terms of the online front, it's actually, to me, I'm a very open-minded, positive person, and I try not to see anything in too negative of a light. So there's always good that's going to come from something. And, this, in fact, I'm reaching out to some of my old students. I've had new students join. I've got people in 6 provinces now joining our online group. Got people someone in California. We were at it today, and I'm talking to some people from like Africa and like all over the place, because like I've been doing this game a long time, and I've established some pretty cool relationships, and I see this being as something that I do probably for the remainder of my coaching career now. So if you got the right set of goggles on and you're looking at things with kind of like a more opportunistic mind, and I don't want to sound like I'm turning this into an opportunity, but everything is an opportunity. And, I'm just excited. Keeps me excited. I'm never just going to like roll over and die. That's not me. You know what I mean? I've been through too much in my life chasing this dream to just give it up. So there's always a way. You just have to adapt and be creative. If you're not creative, you're going to die. That's it.
It's true. No, you're very right. And I think that to be able to have that online presence as a coach, a mentor, it's going to do a lot for people in a time like this where everyone's in need of that support.
Well,
so I think that it's amazing.
Yeah, because like in the end, there's never been a time where maybe people in that role that are very inept at, or very good at leadership, like myself. Like I've been leading people since I was like 20 years old, like coaching and doing what I do, right? People that have skills like that that can fill in the leadership role have never been more valuable, because there's a lot of problems in the world right now. The problem is that people need some leadership. People need to know what to do next. And, if there's someone to say, hey, this is what you do next. Your gyms are closed. You want to stay fit. You want to stay healthy. There's never been a more important time to be healthy. This is what you do next. You get up and you don't act like a victim and you start training. How do you train? Okay, join my group. Cool. You know what I mean? It's really just a thing where it's like, it's very straightforward. And I think, that leadership role and just the value of it is key. And that's kind of like that's the backbone of all entrepreneurial spirit is having something of value. You know what I mean? So there's panic, there's pain, there's people wondering what to do. That actually puts a guy like me in a situation where I can be like, hey, I kind of know how you can help ease your pain a little bit. Take a break, stay fit, stay healthy, don't lose, like make some new goals. And, like that's what we're doing, so it's kind of cool.
We're just keeping people sort of positive and part of a community when they feel isolated, I think.
Yeah. Well, you feel isolated, but at the same time, you feel like you're connected. Because, I've never obviously as a business guy in 2020, you have to keep your eye on the analytics of social media and whatnot. And there's never been a time, it's kind of backwards, because we're not connected. We're not touching, we're not talking to each other face to face, but in that just sense of interfacing, we are very connected. Like my page and my group and like I had like literally like I think 2,500 interactions with people last week, which is like literally like a 200% spike almost. You know what I mean? So it's a pretty crazy time. It's unprecedented for sure. But yeah, man, I don't know. I'm just rolling with it, man. Just rolling with the punches, man.
What are your thoughts on what will happen with the 3 gyms that you do have now? Do you think they're going to be up and running in the near future? I mean, do you think people will feel comfortable?
That just depends on what happens and how socially responsible people are and how willing people are to put aside their comforts and their desires for the greater good, right? So it's like, I don't know, like I don't know how long it's going to be. I'm not an expert in that. I just stay in my own lane. I'm an expert in extracting like greatness from people through what I do. I'm an expert in leading people. I'm an expert in fitness. I'm an expert in martial arts. I'm not an expert in health sciences or anything else, and I don't pretend to be. And I think if everybody kind of acted a little bit more like that and stayed in their own lane, there would be maybe a clearer view of what's actually going to happen.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Do you feel like people will ever feel comfortable being in a gym again, doing Muay Thai again, that close contact with one another?
I sure hope so.
Do you think it's going to change?
I think it'll maybe change for a little bit. I think it'll take a little bit of a phase to get people's just safety level, like, and just like their idea of what's safe back, you know what I mean? But yeah, I think for sure, like, it'll be up and running. I'm not sure when, but I know one thing: if it takes too long, like, businesses are going to change. Like, who knows if this thing's here in Canada for 6 or 7 months, like, how many businesses can afford to take that on? I don't know. Like, hopefully it's soon. Like, hopefully it's a couple months. Hopefully it's less than that, but we'll see, right?
No, for sure. I wanted to talk to you about martial arts and mental health, because I know that it's done a lot for me in the past, and it continues to do a lot for me. And I always say I can kind of relate everything back to that ring mentality, right? Like, everything is sort of a fight for your life, what are you going to do when you're placed in hardship? How are you going to get out and rely on the techniques that you've been given? And that's something that you've taught me throughout the 2 years that I've been training with you. How would you say that martial arts impacts mental health?
Oh, I think it's very, very important. I don't think it's a cure if there's, like, certain chemical imbalances or whatever. But at the same time, for the average person, and I see it, and this is like all I've done in my entire life, right, since high school. I've seen it over and over again where, like, someone doesn't believe that they can do something. I say, no, you can, or their coach says, no, you can. And then they try and try and try, and then they achieve that something. And then there's what's next. And the what's next is the most important thing about martial arts. Say when you came in, you know what I mean? Oh, I want to learn how to punch and kick. Sure. Okay, we did that. What's next? Okay, now I'm going to learn how to do this, this, this. Okay, great. And then slowly, like confidence is rising. You're building self-esteem. So you're not just, like, turning people into ninjas with the ninja sprinkles, right? You're also teaching them how to believe in themselves, which is a very, very important thing. Like, I believe martial arts should be part of the school systems. I believe it's one of the most important things a human can do. And that's not because, like, I believe everyone should fight or everyone has to be violent. I believe that is because, just what it can do for your mentality. I see it in kids, I see it in adults, I see it in everybody that I'm blessed enough to gift with this. And I saw what it did for myself, because when I started, I was a very scared, young, angry individual. And now I'm old, scared. No, I'm just joking. I'm a very, like, centered person, and just it is what it is, man. It's an amazing thing that should be I believe, done by most members of society. A warrior society is a very strong society. So hopefully more people do it.
Do you think that there's a way to broaden what you're doing right now with your online presence? Are you just doing sort of like group sessions online? Are you doing one-on-one coaching?
I'm not doing one-on-one right now. I literally don't have time. I'm just working pretty much entirely on building the group. But, like, yeah, of course we can do more. And that's what I'm talking about. That's like making the obstacle into an opportunity. That's seeing that, there's always a blessing in this. And as much as the 3 gyms closing for now is obviously like an entrepreneurial hardship, it's a disaster. You know what I mean? But hey, there's a bright side, and the bright side would be that I can reach a lot more people. There's no more borders. There's no more convenience. Basically, circumstance and life itself just took, all of the things that were blocking me from as the head coach of Team Canada reaching all of Canada. And that's time and distance and all these things. So if you put on the goggles and look things with, like, analysis and positivity and an opportunistic mindset, you can really see that maybe, there's a great opportunity in this. And, that goes for what I'm doing right now. I'm actually signing people up. Like, most gyms I know of are just trying not to go under. They're waiting for the government to do something. That's not my mentality. My mentality is like, okay, there's a way here. There's got to be a way. I'm going to go get it, and we're going to make it happen. You know what I mean? And that's kind of what's happening. 6 provinces. You got California, Got some people across the world that are probably going to be signing up soon, and you know, I'm just super excited about it. So I don't know, man. It is what it is. If you have something of value, you're always going to be worth something. If you have something of value, you're always going to have a business. And I believe over the 20 years that I've been doing this, I've established great value because experience is the strongest currency. I might not have the most money. I might not have the most, you know, the fanciest cars or this and that, but I've got a lot of experience coaching thousands of people. You know, just some of the situations I've been in, and just some of the fights that I've been around, and just, you know, trial and error, man. It's a good thing.
So if people
my own horn a lot here, but
if people wanted to sign up to the online gym that you've created, how do they go about doing that?
Just send me a message, man. Send me a PM. I'm just around and just trying to you know, sign some new people up, and it's like whatever, man. If we can get a few, that's great. If not, you know, like, that's okay too. You know, I'm not really pushing it on people. I'm obviously like I'm working towards it being like hopefully a national platform, but you know, this is kind of like I've wanted to do this for a while, and now it's like it's forced my hand. It's forced my hand to get into the online and to do what I've always wanted to do, and that's reach more people, help more people through the power of combat sport.
So I have another personal question for you.
Okay.
You're a very busy-bodied person. You were always running from one gym to another. When this all went down and it forced you to just stop, did you at all have any sort of feeling towards it? Were you impacted in a negative way at all when it first happened, or were you enjoying the best?
Well, it's a great opportunity. You know, like one of the hardships of being an entrepreneur and, you know, being a coach and traveling for this weekend and that weekend. I was on the road for like 3 weekends at a time, and then right before the COVID thing hit, I was like, fuck, I just want to be at home, man. I just want to be at home. And like, boom, you know what I mean? I have a lovely, beautiful wife who I don't get to spend enough time with. I have a wonderful son that is at home, and now I've spent almost 2 weeks with him straight. Besides, obviously, like going to the gym a little bit and doing my classes there. But you know, there's always an opportunity. So it's an amazing opportunity to reconnect with my family. I think if people like realize this amazing, unprecedented thing that's happening, it's like a Control Alt Delete right now of like all the shit that you think mattered and that it didn't matter. It's just like you're getting reset to what really matters. You, me, everybody that's playing their cards right has to be at home with their beautiful families. And you know, even if there's like people that don't have good relationships with their families, maybe it's time to nurture that and like get back to it. You know what I mean? This is like yeah, you know, this is like a pretty cool little opportunity for a lot of people to reconnect with themselves, reconnect with family. And like one thing that I see, and I know I'm rambling here because I like to ramble, but one thing that I see is that there's so many people, like, trust me, like I work sales at the gym. I try to sell people memberships. You know, sometimes the biggest obstacle, the biggest thing that gets in the way would be people like, you know, saying, oh, I don't have time. I don't have time for me. I don't have time for me. I don't have time for me. That's like the biggest obstacle. It's either I don't have time or I don't have money. You know what I mean? And like, but mostly, you know, it's time. People can't figure it out. And so now you've got like this forced, it's probably going to be 2 months. Let's be realistic, right? It's going to be a long time, and it's going to be forced, and you're going to have to stay inside. And all of a sudden you have all this time for yourself. And if people don't take life up onto what what it's offering them, like you lost all right to complain about it. Oh, I never have time for myself. If you know what I mean? If you know someone that's not using this time for themselves, and you hear them complain about it, slap them across the mouth because they did not deserve to speak those words.
Do not lose the opportunities you are being given.
Yeah, man.
Crew Jeff Harrison, I have another question for you, sir.
Okay.
Do you have any conspiracy theory on COVID-19?
No.
None whatsoever.
No. It happened in 1918. It was, you know, thank God for social media and social hypervigilance and all that stuff. You know, like if you look at that cup, oh shit was 1918, man, because this had happened and no one knew how to talk to people. There was no button, there was no email, there was no text, there was no call, and 50 fucking million people died. You know what I mean? And that would be the same right now, probably, if like, you know,
if we didn't have
circumstances were different. So, you know, like, yeah, thank God that that it's not worse than it is, and thank God we're a sophisticated pink ape. You know,
we have the technology we need to be able to receive information, but it's not necessarily a great thing because we're receiving at such a rate that we can't even process it.
That's okay. Too much information makes you scared. Scares make you stay in your house. You know what I mean? If there was not enough information, it would be a huge problem. And also, like, that's the way I see it. I see, there's no conspiracy. A virus broke out, and you know, people obviously are getting sick. I think some governments have failed terribly. You know, I think there's a whole lot of negligence going on. Like if you look at what's happening in America right now, it's ridiculous. I think we got a good leader. You know, some people love me, some people hate me for it, but I really like Justin Trudeau. I think he's a great leader. I think he's a kind leader. And, you know, when I went to the Worlds last year, you know, I'm not really into politics and I'm not really into all these things. When I went to the Worlds last year, most countries would come up to me, oh, you're from Canada. You're so lucky. You have the best leader in the world. Justin, oh, you know what I mean? Like, because he's a kind guy and he does a lot for a lot of people. I think we're in good hands. And I think Doug Ford has really stepped into his own too, man. And like, you know, my wife was commenting on the other day. She's like, I don't know much about this guy, but he's really stepping up and he's doing a good job. And, you know, I don't know. I don't really like politics, but, you know, I think we're doing a good job in Canada, and I think we have to continue. And I think calling people on their bullshit if they're out is key. But, yeah.
Do you have anything you want to leave your viewers with or pretend regarding your online presence or anything like that?
Sure. I would like to say that now's the time. The time is now because now you have the time. You know what I mean? Like, if you want to do something, then it's a perfect time to do it. Unless, like, doing something is like going to a mall or going to to school.
Don't do that.
Okay, like if you want to do something for yourself, it's a perfect time. You wanna maybe like spark a passion or find something to do with yourself. That's great. If you want to train martial arts, now has never been a better time because there's like a million different instructors out there. I'm one of them, and I'm a good one. Right? We're just going over the basics, and because there's not much else you can do. Right now, you know. So if you want to get into something like that, now would be the perfect opportunity. Now would be the perfect time to do it. And yeah, man, I don't know, like just go do it. You got the time. Why not?
Get done.
And don't yeah, man, don't stress too much. Stay in your house, enjoy it. There's every obstacle is an opportunity. You know, I've been saying that a lot. It's like my tagline right now, but I truly believe it. And like some of the circumstances and situations that I've been in my life have just always really like built this belief in me that something good does come from something bad all the time. It's like you know, a subway works. It's like negative, positive, and that electric charge like makes the subway go forward. That's like our lives. You know, something negative, something positive, something negative, something positive. You just have to roll with it and keep going.
Do you still plan on hosting the events that you once had? I know you had something coming up in May for Live at Lansdowne. Will that still
I had to cancel that show this week. May 23rd has been postponed. I have a couple dates, one in July and one in August. So like as a promoter, that's a big hit. You know, those shows are really great. People love them. It's a great way to showcase the gym, showcase athletes. It's a great way to build the sport too, which is you know, part of my mission is growing the sport of Muay Thai in Ontario, Canada, and the world. So it sucks. It sucks, but it is what it is. Again, man, the show we'll do something cool and raise some money for the Heart Institute because of what we talked about earlier. And yeah, it just is what it is, man. There's always going to be something good coming out of everything that seems like a trouble.
It's amazing, Jeff. Is there anything else you'd like to add for last hurrah?
Train,
Keep
Sarah.
moving.
Keep training, Sarah.
I am.
Go for a run. Good.
I might not be running, but I'm training.
Yeah. No, I'm really blessed and I'm really lucky because, like, at least in this industry I'm in, I have something else I can do. There's a way to be creative about it and you know, make it work. Hopefully, you know what I mean. There's a lot of industries out there where people are like this, like it's dark times right now. But even those people, you know what I mean. So maybe these people are losing their jobs. Maybe people are upset by that. Maybe you hated your job anyway. Maybe you want to go do something else. Maybe you want to. Maybe this will be like a catalyst for change. Who knows, man? Flow with the go, baby.
So very, very true, Jeff. Thank you so much. And I have to attest to you pulling out the best in people, because I think that when I first started with you, I feel like I was like a scared little puppy and I didn't really know how to do a live feed or get into a ring and try to beat a girl up.
If you can master a jab cross and master me chasing you around a room trying to punch you, what can't you do?
There you go. Everybody, please thank me for, please thank Crew Jeff for being on my Oh Shit show.
Oh, shit.
Oh Shit. Do you like the name? You like the mug?
Yeah, I wanted to film this from the toilet, but.
Oh, that would have been awkward.
I'm just joking.
But thank you so much for being on the show, Jeff. I'm going to let you go.
Oh, yeah, look us up, New Era Combat Sports. Bam, look us up on Facebook. Lots of live content, lots of cool stuff. And
is it still running out of the same Instagram, the same New Era Combat Sports?
Yes, page, yeah. And then we have a separate group for members only. We have an app, we have all this stuff. Like, I'm really fortunate to be ahead of the curve. And a lot of people are like, you know, I'm freaking out trying to like get going, but I already had it, so it's good.
Amazing. So I'm going to include the name of the gym and the Instagram handle that people can find you at after the live with Jessica. But thank you so much for being on the show, Jeff. And I hope to see you soon.
Perfect. Thanks, friend.
Bye.
Boop.
Hi, guys. That was so amazing. Thank you again so much, Jeff, for being on Oh Shit. Moving on, I'd like to welcome Jessica. She is a good friend of mine, and actually she attended one class at New Era Combat Sports right before COVID-19 hit. Jessica, I'm going to add you in right now, and guys, at the end, I will include the link where you can find the gym and get all the information. If you DM Jeff, he will let you know how you guys can go about registering and getting online in his platform there. And if I don't know what I'm doing. Sorry, guys. Sorry about that. Hi.
Hey, girl.
How's it going?
That's good. It's Friday night.
Oh,
how are you?
Is it? I don't even know what day of the week it is. That's how I'm doing. So before I get into talking to you, beautiful Jessica, you actually, I was just mentioning, you went to New Era right before this all went down.
I did, and everyone was teasing me that I am fully prepared for the zombie apocalypse that is coming with my one Muay Thai class.
Yes, you're definitely prepared now.
Yeah, it was really intimidating. You did not tell me how many push-ups were involved.
Well, I mean, there's quite a bit, but
yeah, thanks for leaving that out.
I had to get you in the door, okay? I had to ease you in. Yes, I had so much I want to talk to you about. First of all, I want to give everyone a brief history of how we know each other. And that's
yeah, it's been a long time.
Yeah, it's been 11 years now. It's 12 years.
Wow.
Yes. So you're now divorced. How long has it been that you've been?
So technically speaking, I don't have a signature on the dotted line because Canada has a very inclusive and a very long legal process to the entire idea. However, I have been separated for about Well, so January of last year, so a year and 3 months. Um, it's been a long time. I was married for almost 10 years. And so I got married when I was really young and really dumb.
And how did you guys meet?
We had just met at a party through friends. I was in a very alone place, to be honest. And when you're young and someone gives you some attention, you love the idea of that. And everyone wants to live that checklist life, right? You get married, you buy a house, you have kids, you get a career, you start a business, whatever's on your checklist. Everyone kind of has that goal, right?
Yeah, it's true. Because I had said that we were going to be discussing your disfellowship from being a Jehovah's Witness. At the time when you met your ex-husband, were you still part of the religion?
So also that was a very long process. I had my palms read this summer, and it was really funny because she called me out on not being able to let things go. um, but so instead of making a big dramatic slam the door exit, I actually just kind of faded away. I just had stopped attending. Religion is a really complicated thing when it's a generational thing in your life. You obviously have family expectations. There's a lot of expectations that you put on yourself. And so once I had realized that I was not in tune with the lifestyle that was laid before me, I kind of just tried to take a step back. And that was actually when you and I had met. You and I met when I was really in those initial stages of separating myself from the life that my family expected from me and moving into my own, whatever the definition of that is still to be written, I guess. And it's so it had been a long process where I kind of tried to fade away, but my family had some influential people involved in the religion, and essentially I wasn't allowed to move on. Yeah.
You couldn't leave. When you did finally sort of make your exit, that was your choice, or were you forced out at that point?
No, so at that point in time, I actually did move in with my ex-husband. We had moved in together, and through the grapevine, they had found out that I was living in sin. And so they had come to, it's fucked up, but they actually came and like staked out my house and stayed outside until they could confirm that we were living together. And then at that point in time, usually what happens with the process with Jehovah's Witnesses, when you're removed from their religion, they tell you, they give you an opportunity to defend yourself, and then just in the church that you go to, they say, okay, this person is no longer a part of this. You can't talk to them anymore. But again, because my family did have some influence, the process went that they announced it across the city. So there's, I don't know what it is now, but back then, again, that was a long time ago. That was about 12 years ago. So I would say there was maybe 20 churches, and everyone across the board was just told, cut this person out.
So you had no one you could turn to. You were essentially shunned at that point.
Yeah, exactly. So it's funny being in isolation now when I have a support group, when I have, my 2 children, I have social access through the internet and everything like that. That was it was a really weird time. I'm not going to say scary time because being raised in a situation where your love is conditional, you do always kind of expect that. But yeah, it was very, very alone. I lost hundreds of friends on Facebook in a matter of a week. My family just completely cut me off. I haven't spoken to most of them since.
So what family did remain with you? Was it only the family that decided to turn away from the religion, or did you have family that still take part that are supporting you now?
So I was on my own for a while. About 2 years afterwards, my both of my parents decided to get divorced. They had a very toxic relationship, and they got divorced, which also was not allowed. In many religions, leaving your husband is not allowed, and really up until the past 50 years, even socially, that wasn't allowed. So when they divorced, also they were also kicked out, essentially. And at that point in time, there was a lot of apologies, and yeah, it's complicated. Any family dynamic is complicated, but especially one like that is complicated. So now I do definitely have the support of my mom, and then separately my father.
So how restricted is the religion where people feel like if they leave it is going to be a complete social suicide? What would have happened should somebody else have spoken to you during your period of being shunned, or even now if they were to reach out to you?
Oh, it's been so long that I don't remember the terminology that they use, kind of thing. However, basically they get in trouble too. They get in trouble, and if if you have friends that get kicked out, it even extends to the point where if you continue to have relationships with people who've been kicked out, then you're also, I don't know if you'd be kicked out, but people aren't allowed to associate with you either.
Right. So
Mm-hmm.
there's barriers built right away.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely throughout the years, a large part of my support group is actually people who are in the same situation where they don't have family, and we've kind of come together. They've come together to support each other and to be each other's family, and it's a weird dynamic.
I have a Deeb here saying they would be disciplined should they. I'm assuming he means if they were speaking to you while you were being shunned.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't remember the terminology that they use, but basically they like the church leaders bring you into a room and give you a finger wagging.
Okay. Would you say, and I'm hesitant to ask this question because I don't want it to seem derogatory for any of the people watching who may follow the religion or believe in it or anything like that. I am in no way trying to offend anybody. But would you say it was ran like a cult?
And here I was gonna try and keep it so PG, Tara.
I'm trying to just real people, real conversation. So it's a hard question, but I have to ask.
Yeah. So, yes, yeah, it is classified as a religion. However, anything where you're forced to change your association, you're not allowed to spend time with people outside of that connection. Anytime that you are not allowed to have your own thoughts, you are strongly encouraged to pursue only religious acts and only within their religion. Like you weren't supposed to pursue secondary education because it would open your mind. You weren't even supposed to do yoga because it might open your mind to demons and things like that, where people would question what they're being told. And anything that says, don't question me, whether it's a religion, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a career, I would classify as a cult.
So, because you grew up in this religion for the many years that you did, when you left it, did you struggle at all with what you had so ingrained in your mind and then the life that you now wanted to live? Was that challenging for you?
Oh yeah, for sure. And it's a huge reason why I stayed in my marriage for as long as I did, because I was determined to prove them wrong. I was so determined that regardless of having family, regardless of living the that typical Christian female, not even just Christian, but just that religious female obligation. Anytime I felt, anytime I really sat with myself and thought about it, I really wanted to still have that checklist life, regardless of what my family said. I still wanted to live a good life. I don't know about my belief in God or anything like that, but when it comes to being cut off from anyone and everyone you've known your entire life, you can either walk away with a lot of pride and kind of use that as a shield, or you'll really, really struggle for a really, really long time.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I can see how you'd feel that way as well. I mean, I think religion and community and culture and everything always ties in, right? And the second anyone deviates slightly, culture and community come out and take over all religious teachings and sort of put a damper on how we then view religion. And it's that cross between what is culture and what is religion, what is the way a community sort of orchestrates itself and the way one single person chooses to live. So I mean, it's a difficult balance, right? With now COVID-19 and being isolated at home with your two sons, who I'm assuming aren't seeing their dad at the moment, do you ever feel like you need a sense of belonging to something more spiritual, something higher than you, or do you have that?
So that's really interesting. In the past year especially, I feel like I've solidified that more than I have ever in my whole life. Even when I was religious, I didn't have that connection based on my own wants and needs. I had that connection based on the expectations that were put on me. So really quite recently, I've had a lot of time to sit in that and to reflect upon what that means. And I've really done a lot of learning. I've learned a lot about a lot of other religions, whether it be religions in the format that we call them, like Muslim religions, Christian religions, everything else, or even whether it comes to things like mythology, the old religions that people used to follow. Astrology it's not classified as a religion, but every single person goes and reads their horoscope. Do you know what I mean? So there's a lot of people that have faith.
Right. So would you say you still have faith?
Yeah, I would. I like to call it the universe these days because I don't actually have, I don't really have a name to put on it.
Do you believe in energy and sort of gravitational pull towards positive and negative? Do you find yourself more along those lines, or?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my qualm when it comes to people saying there is a God who is judging you is the universe is so expansive and there is so much detail in every single thing in the universe that nobody outside of our realm of humanity has the time to be sitting around on their cloud watching us like we watch Netflix.
It's true. It's true.
Like, there's a lot else going on.
So I have to ask this question because you and I have had multiple conversations about conspiracies.
I was worried what you were going to ask me today because of that.
Multiple conversations on like the apocalypse and all of that, and like I think it was a couple months ago where we were sitting down talking about like the end is near, and, you know, just like that conversation. What are your thoughts now? What were you thinking when this all sort of started?
Well, I love a good conspiracy theory. So my conspiracy theory is that the Chinese government created this to as a form of population control because they can't, quite literally, they can't afford the elderly and the poor population that they have. It's really creepy now that there's all of these Chinese nationalists that are being arrested in the States, but that's just a conspiracy theory. I don't think that's real. What I think is really interesting is that throughout the whole year, in astrology, the age of Aquarius has been coming. So this happens every either 600 years or 1200 years where the planets change alignment and blah, blah, blah. However, in March, we entered the age of the age of Aquarius, and this is the whole definition of this is that it is breaking down old systems. Old systems that have been into play are not going to be working anymore. It is taking a focus away from capitalism, away from selfishness, greed, aggression, and Aquarius is really bringing things into connection and harmony with the earth. It's going to be a very reflective state where people have more of a focus on the global community instead of such an individualism. It's going to be it's supposed to be a big shift in how everything is so go, 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 angry, 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 hungry, 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 to why? How can we make this better? What do we do for others? So all year I've been reading about this and learning about this, and even things like the moon cycle. So when it first kind of blew up, the moon cycle was in a full moon, and the full moon, it represents things coming into fruition. It represents everything that's been building. It's now going to happen. And that week is when all of the businesses shut down.
Wow.
This week is the new moon. And this week, so the new moon is all about intentions, and it's all about what do we want? How can we make that happen? Let's plan to make this work. And that's what's happening this week.
Wow. What's next?
So, right? Like, I'm not making this shit up. This is just the way it goes through astrology. And I'm not so mystical as to say this is a hard fact. However, some things have been around for a really long time for a reason.
Right. Well, and I think that, something has to be said for coincidence. And everything can't be so coincidental. I mean, I don't know. Some people will look at that theory and be like, yeah, it's science. Some people will look at it and be like, well, there's no proof, but it's a map. The stars are a map. So
Yeah, and you can't be religious and say that God created every single cell in our body and that he didn't align the stars in a certain way.
Right.
You can't be scientific and say, you can't be scientific and deny the fact that things like we are made of water and there's a tide. You know, these things have a purpose and they have a cycle, and we don't know what that is.
No, you're absolutely right. Everything was created for a purpose and for a reason, and it has to interconnect. I do believe that human energy feeds off of certain things. I think that we all have the power to sort of, you know, somebody will say they rub me the wrong way or whatever it is. We all kind of have that connection with one another. Even just somebody passing you by, you can sort of get a vibe. Do you think that that has an impact on environment?
Absolutely. I mean, you know, what you put out, you get back, you know, and individually, what have we been putting out? I know I put out a shit ton of garbage every 2 weeks, no matter how conscious I try to be or whatever. You know, the consumerism of life, we are all insane consumers. We are all so... I like the word ambition. You know, we all have a lot of ambition with what we want to do with our lives and where we want to go. However, it's such a singular focus, you know, and if we're putting all of this out into the world's giving it back.
That's true.
We're getting a big punch in the gut.
Just want to go back to your COVID-19 conspiracy that it was. Do you think then that it is a man-made virus?
Well, I think that everything in our world is man-made right now.
Right.
Even, you know, you eat a vegetable. I made the kids broccoli tonight that was vacuum sealed in plastic. You know what I mean? Like, whether it was someone in a lab doing this intentionally or whether this is just a result of the lifestyle that we've created, that's where we're at.
So what are your hopes for after all of this? What do you want to come of this situation? Do you hope that people realize what do you think will come of it?
Well, I think there will be a pretty big shift in how people interact with each other, with how they think about the world on a whole. You know, it's not going to be so much of a worry about Ottawa. It's right. When in your life have you been worried about a flu in China?
Right.
You know, like we're going to have a big global focus after this. And I hope that people take this as a chance to use that positively and as a chance to realize what's going on around the world, and instead of continuing that really selfish focus that we all, myself included, have.
Oh, you're absolutely right. How are you explaining the situation to your kids right now?
So it's kind of hilarious because I thought I was going to have to make up this big story and this big explanation. But with YouTube and Netflix and all of that, Nathan just thinks it's like the zombie apocalypse coming around. Like I had to make more of an effort to convince him that this wasn't going to produce zombies than the effort I had to put in to get him to start washing his hands and be more careful about touching shit. Like, I don't think I knew about zombies until I was 10.
That's too funny. I actually mildly agree with him. I'm not sure I'm not on the same page because it very well could be the product of this. Jess, you're live. You have anything you want to say to people now that you have a platform to do so about anything we've talked about or anything like that? Maybe people who are sort of coming out of a position where you came out of or whatever it is.
So you're never alone. Even if you are standing on an island all by yourself with nobody in the world, you still have you. You're going to be okay. Life is tough, but life is cyclical. This is going to go. This is going to go, and we're going to be okay. A lot can happen in a year.
Right. You're absolutely right. Jess, it's been a pleasure to have you on Oh Shit.
Always.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like to join me tomorrow night, I have Tanya talking about her healing journey and her thoughts on COVID-19, followed by Adib talking about life as a stay-at-home dad, an entrepreneur, and his thoughts on COVID-19. Bye, Jess. Love you.
Night. Talk soon.